What the hell did I just watch? I just spent 1 hour watching the latest BBC exclusive interview with a man that came off as a self-important, patronizing, out-of-touch pedo who goes around calling himself a prince because of his inbred royal bloodline. And again, I'm still shocked. I haven't done my intro yet. Again, this is Lukadowski of WeAreChange.org. I'm here in Amsterdam. I was going to do a what really happened video. I still may if there's time, but I definitely doubt that after, again, what people are describing as just an uncomfortable train wreck that we all witnessed in this video because of the audacious, nonsensical bullcrap, the no remorse, no sympathy, not only for all the victims, not only for all the children involved here, but specifically to anyone with even a working brain. The level of hubris and arrogance here, man, I still can't believe it. And this is why in this video, we are going to be going over all the important points and bigger takeaways from this exclusive interview that the BBC was able to get with Prince Andrew. We're going to get into that plus a lot more and how overall this is a really great step to getting this information out there to the public light because as an independent media reporter who has been screaming about Jeffrey Epstein for years, who has also stormed his island while at the same time pissing off the former head honcho of Google, YouTube, and Alphabet, Eric Schmidt, I could tell you that this has been an uphill battle, as even the Wall Street Journal recently reported and asserts that Google manipulates their search algorithms to hide controversial subjects, while, of course, working one-on-one with special interests and big money. All of this while promoting the mainstream media, especially on YouTube, while directly attacking other independent media by downranking them, demonetizing, deleting some of their videos without them even noticing, like they did to us. All the while pushing up front the mainstream media that for years has been protecting, and I would even say aiding and abetting, the world's most powerful rape rings, from the Jeffrey Epstein story to Harvey Weinstein. Hell, even Jimmy Savile, because of their obvious ties to power. And as an independent media organization, we would not be able to push back against this and fight for this if it wasn't for you and your support. With simply doing things like buying a t-shirt or a hat, you allow videos like this, future videos, and investigations to go forward. And it's really your support that keeps us running, which I sincerely want to thank you for. You know, they're also pretty light and easy conversation starters, to say the least. Now, back to the original topic that we were discussing here. Another important aspect to remember is that this is not the first time that the royal family was involved with a pedophile controversy, as of course a very famous British entertainer and what came out to be a pedophile necrophiliac was also very connected to the royal family, while of course the British establishment, including the British broadcasting company, the BBC, laid silent against the large swap of evidence, witnesses, and accusations against Jimmy Savile that of course he was able to completely get away with because of their protection. This is another reason why it's so surprising to see this utter train wreck, this utter delusion of grandeur by this prince presented to us, of course, by the BBC. It's also important to understand that the British Queen herself gave the go-ahead for this interview to happen after a year of negotiations about this supposed interview that was supposed to set the record straight, but in all actual reality, has everyone who watched this entire video just absolutely shocked. Like, I am still shocked, and so is the rest of the world after watching this video, which Prince Andrew reportedly thinks is some kind of great success, as of course the majority of the world sees him as a pedophile. Now again, the conversation should be about what actually happened here. How big were the grooming, rape gangs of children? That should be the conversation here, but some so-called journalists in the United Kingdom, like the supposed person that calls himself a journalist, Belle Mooney, who is giving her condolences and says that her heart breaks for the Queen after this interview went out there. Not for the countless number of children that were victims here, but the Queen? This evil reptilian looking like creature? Which again just shows you the cognitive dissonance and just disillusionment that this establishment has when it comes to the actual issues that matter to people. The supposed prince here in question most likely thought, of course, people are going to believe him and his huge holes in his entire story because he's a special bloodline. He's specialer than everyone else. And of course, not. That's not the case. We have the internet. We have independent media. We have abilities to fact check things. And there's a lot of inconsistencies with his official story. And now Prince Andrew just came out and says that he regrets his his quote interview. There's also new photos that just came out on the Daily Mail showing Prince Andrew at wild parties in the French Riviera, where of course he is seen sweating, partying, and showing public displays of affection, which were all denied by him in the BBC interview that of course he alleges he didn't do. Saying, quote, in the interview, I never really have partied, that his judgment was colored by his tendency to be too honorable. And again, the sweat comment has everyone baffled, since Prince Andrew said that he had a medical condition that from the Falklands War, which meant that he couldn't medically sweat, which has a lot of medical professionals questioning the validity of it, as again, there's other photos showing him clearly sweating. And again, that wasn't the only strange answer by Prince Andrew. The whole video was strange. He also said that he didn't have sex with a child because he was at home after being at Pizza Express. Again, you can't make this stuff up here. And then when confronted about the photograph about the incident with Virginia Roberts, he says that he had no recollection of the photograph ever being taken. That, yes, that is him, but that he, quote, does not remember, recall, or recollect any of those exact incidences, including the one which he is photographed in. And this is very important, because what you're seeing is essentially legal lawyer talk. So if there is a potential court proceedings, he could be in a court of law and say, well, I said I didn't remember, not that I wasn't there. And again, he has been trained very poorly by his lawyer to give these specific talking points to clear him of any potential prosecution. And everyone understood that with his vague, nonsensical, arrogant answers. There's really nothing more that could make you look guilty, like legal lawyer talk, to prevent any prosecution of you as an individual from the clear evidence presented against you. He also said that he didn't go upstairs to the room, that it wasn't certain that it was his hand in the photo, that he was never seen with the camera, that the photo may be actually fake, that those are his traveling clothes, which again, he was seen at nightclubs in the UK when he was not traveling in the same attire. But again, many forensic experts, when looking at the facts here, concluded that this most likely is an accurate photo. Another absurd aspect of this story was Prince Andrew saying, well, you know, he really wasn't that close a friend of mine, we really didn't keep in touch, but then telling the world that he needed to fly to Jeffrey Epstein's house to go to his parties for over 4 days so he could end his friendship with him and break up with him face to face. So again, the official story by Prince Andrew is that he didn't speak to Jeffrey Epstein for 4 years because it, quote, wasn't appropriate, since of course he was a pedophile, but had to do the, quote, honorable thing and visit the pedophile to tell him that he didn't want to be seen in public with him as he went for a public walk with him in Central Park with this famed photo that came out in 2010. As of course, he was also seen on video going in and out of the apartment for a number of days, where he was also the guest of honor at a party that Epstein hosted with, of course, many young underage women filmed coming in and out of that residence. With him saying, "My tendency to be too honorable is why I stayed at the home of Jeffrey Epstein." And are you freaking kidding me? You look at the crime reports, the witness statements, you look at the information coming out about what was going on in Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, on his island, in his house, all over the place, with many reports of him needing to ejaculate every 2 hours. You look at the number of witnesses, the number of children around, the people coming out and saying what they saw. There's no way you could be at Jeffrey Epstein's house for 4 days and, one, call that honorable, and two, not know what was going on. I mean, come on. He's not fooling anyone. And this is astonishing since, of course, he is buying the best PR, media relations companies out there to spin this information out there. By the way, if you're one of these PR agencies that was hired by Prince Andrew, I don't care how much money you're given, you have absolutely no soul. You have absolutely no integrity at all, and you are doing literally the satanic devil's work to protect, aid, and abet some of the worst, most horrible aspects of this world. And I don't say this lightly. And again, this new PR guru who quit 2 weeks because of this interview, I mean, how dare you? This man should just be ridiculed because he quit because the world's going to find out the truth about children being abused. So again, this story needs a definite reframing in our society. Since again, overall, this information coming out to the public is a good thing. No matter how many spin doctors, no matter how much money you have or PR you could buy, the truth is the truth. And it is finally coming out for the general public to see, as even The Guardian titled an op-ed piece showing how this is essentially true power that is turning a blind eye to abuse. And again, that's putting it lightly. And for people to argue that this was a bad idea for him to go on there, for this PR guy to quit, for people to have sympathy for the Queen, what world are you living in? What kind of horrible monsters, creatures are you that you can't realize that children were victimized here? While, of course, the perpetrators never face their day in court. Why haven't they been able to actually sit in a court of law and actually face some justice for the horrible atrocities and crimes that they have been committing, that has been aided and abetted not only by the top officials in government, but also the top people in media and, quote, entertainment? You gotta be kidding me that these bastardized idiots are now claiming to have sympathy for the Queen after this audacious act. Again, this entire Epstein scandal just shows you exactly who is in charge, who is really calling the shots, who really has all the keys and the power in our society. But finally, we are getting a glimpse. We're getting a glimpse because of all the heroic people that have been coming forward, speaking out against this, and calling it out for what it was. Even on a small level, what we were doing here, on a micro level, calling it out, just calling it out. We faced ridicule. We were called conspiracy theorists. We were attacked for telling you that something very sinister was at hand here by the royal family, by the elites. And now, finally, it is coming out, and the more pressure, more information, the more anger that comes from the general public about this, the better it is to actually see some kind of results. As we are seeing the memes, the care and consideration of the general public for children here finally be highlighted, and that finally be met by some kind of action, as we're getting more information that Epstein's prison guards could face criminal charges. And in all reality, this is still surprising since, again, the federal authorities have been running a cover-up for over a decade, helping Jeffrey Epstein do all of this. But again, this is minimal what should happen, what rightfully should be going on, is Ghislaine Maxwell, who is accused of being a rapist as well of children, along with Prince Andrew, along with the prison guards, along with the head of that prison, should all be in jail right now under protective custody as they're being investigated and questioned, with any witnesses having the power to actually come forward without being afraid of being silenced or laughed at, as the mainstream media did to victims, of course, all over the world. Now, that's a lot to take in. That's a little, so just take that in there for a second, and we have to start asking serious questions like, where is Ghislaine Maxwell, the connected daughter of a media mogul who is connected to the Mossad and other intelligence agencies whose accusations against her are just as bad, if not worse, than those against Jeffrey Epstein? How is she still a free person? How is she still able to walk the world freely without anyone questioning what is really happening here? And the cover-up exists on many levels. And we're also getting information now, good information, that even the U.S. House of Representatives is investigating ABC, a company connected to, of course, and owned by Disney, that ran a cover-up and protected Jeffrey Epstein for years. And the House of Representatives is demanding the videos and evidence that ABC suppressed, and is even investigating the, quote, news network, really entertainment network, that brings on children to dress and provocatively as transsexuals. That's what ABC does. That ABC's okay with running those stories, but when they had photos, evidences, witnesses to this crime, they said that the story wasn't credible enough for them to run, which again, everyone just sees as an absolute entire joke. As of course, the federal authorities were caught sitting on their hands for years, allowing this to happen, as of course, they do ridiculous things in the United States, where of course, if you're Jeffrey Epstein, over a decade, yeah, you have to check in after being in prison for a pedophile, which was really just a vacation for him. Oh, you have to check in with your parole officer and the NYPD. No, that doesn't matter. An average person does something like that, they don't get a slap on the wrist. They don't get to get away with their crimes. They don't get to get away with not going to their parole officer, as Jeffrey Epstein was doing, with, again, just the NYPD sitting on their ass. While, of course, people in the United States are prosecuted and arrested and are facing jail for what? For living on an RV on their own property after a home fire. That's what the federal authorities, that's what the police officers are allowing to happen, are doing in the United States, while allowing Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew, and all of them to run free. So yeah, that's absolute bull. And if you agree with it, share this video, because Google won't. We get downranked. Almost every one of our videos automatically, no, every one of our videos automatically gets hit with demonetization. They're, of course, trying to choke us out to make sure that we don't exist as an independent media organization, bringing you this important video. And the only way to survive is, of course, to counter them at every step that we can. And sharing the video is one way that you could do that. Also, check out our Jeffrey Epstein investigation on his island if you haven't. It's almost close to 1 million views, and it's an important video to understand what we are doing here and the future operations that we want to conduct as an independent media organization working for you. Without your support, we wouldn't be here, and that's why I try to end every single video by saying I love you. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.